This is the Daily Divide. I think I don't know, the next, this is called a sort of a chill thing. I don't really know where we're going with this after that. So obviously you're a bit flip-floppy when it comes to, so maybe I could press a bit more when it comes to personal freedoms, because there was a law, or I wouldn't call it a carve out, but it was a an extension, an amendment to a law that National and the coalition kind of passed through select committee, or didn't really fully push through the right process of select committee, for the, I think it was the Crimes Act. And what it was that if the police have the right to, if they've had uh, sense of, if they have suspicion, or if they can see through the window that house has a gang patch, they have every right to go in without a warrant and arrest the person in the house, or that owns or rents in that domicile. Right? I think that would be for whatever the issue of gangs in this country, and it is an issue. I would call that a grave invasion of personal liberty and personal right, and I would call that big government. And also, on top of that, they shoved it under the carpet. I don't know if anybody knows this. I mean, it's across mainstream media. If you don't, pay attention, of course, then there's something wrong here. Stop it. They kind of snuck that carve out, or that snuck that addition. Cut that shit out. They snuck it under the past select committee, and weren't really fully honest with that. So that's another, that's a different case of the government not really being honest and transparent. But what I'm talking about is that extension, like that. That is invasion of personal liberty, isn't it? That on principle it is.
I guess so. Yes, you're right. I mean, I guess you have to look at it. I mean, if so- if they're coming into your house, yeah, they need a warrant. They don't technically need one now because of this law, but my opinion is there needs to be a warrant. But there's obviously it's not. It's a hard thing. Well, it's not, but it is, because I guess, yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a big thing on this, just because it's so wishy-washy because of how they've gone about it. I'm not going to say one way or the other, because both sides have their reasonings.
I absolutely agree with. I understand the reasoning of why they're doing something. They would do something like that, but on principle, when it invades something like that, where's the rabbit hole? Like, if you're against, um, a commercial ban on fire, or even a firearms register, or a ban on assault rifles, and I'm not talking about you. Sorry, I'm talking about in this context. And then you turn around and go, right, we're gonna invade your personal property, even though it's someone that isn't your voter base that's going to be affected. I think on principle that is a grave miscalculation, and a grave. I think it's hypocrisy. And I know we're kind of we're not really debating whether or not big government or small government is best here. We're kind of commenting about this law. But I'm kind of getting a grasp of what you believe on in terms of social individual rights, and how government should be involved with it. And then we'll move on to economic rights.
Well,
So I think, yeah, it's kind of like I'm using it as a vehicle for kind of to get a grasp of how, like, discourse. So yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's wishy-washy, and I guess, yeah, it's so hard to have a proper opinion on it because obviously both sides have their reasonings.
Okay.
With the whole firearms register, I think it's just a waste of time anyway, because only only the people that actually that have guns that actually follow the rules, people that aren't going to break the law are going to be on the register. So it's actually not going to do anything
Mm.
for criminals or actually help with catching criminals because criminals that have guns aren't going to put their guns on the register because they're not supposed to have them.
Wouldn't it make easier? I'm just thinking of my own head because I haven't really researched this. I'm kind of using this as sort of like a shit talk session. Wouldn't that register make it easier for police to recognize? I mean the gang. What was it? Comancheros raid. That was under Labor. That was built and started under Labor. So wouldn't a register help police recognize and investigate more easily people that own guns but aren't registering and being open about their ownership?
But the thing, how are they going to know that they own them?
Obviously, it
They're not
takes
on the
time, but
register.
obviously, you recognize a criminal, um, um, repeating criminals, gangs and some such. You're a bit blurry there. Are you okay?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Um, obviously, it's going to be traditionally gangs and repeat criminal offenders. So I'm sure it would narrow the gauging ground. You're not going to have ram raiders that are going to traditionally own guns. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say here. It's not. This is not like a war zone where everybody who owns a gun is going to like shoot you. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, wouldn't this make it easier to investigate? It's
Well,
kind of like, sorry,
no, I don't think so. I don't think so because it's only going to show the police the people that actually follow the law who own guns are going to be on there. So the criminals aren't going to actually even be on that register
yeah.
to
But wouldn't it be less about, about the register, but about, what isn't in the register, if you catch my drift, right?
Okay, so let me ask you a question. When a car gets stolen,
Yeah.
right? That's registered. It's registered to an owner.
Mhm.
How many times how many times does a stolen car actually get recovered in the same state as when it got stolen, or if it ever actually they actually ever get found?
Well, are you talking about, would someone steal a registered gun from a gun owner? Does that
Well,
happen?
how
And then,
else?
give it a bit of a joyride around, like shoot and like breaking it?
Well,
Is that?
this what I'm saying.
I don't
This what I'm
think
saying
that kind of
is
works.
if it gets stolen and then they go, oh well, my shit's stolen. All they're going to do is file a report, and things going to go into thin air. They're not even going to know who has the gun anyway.
Well, it's not really about whether or not they steal already registered gun. It's about a black market of guns that they can then invest, sort of pull their resources into and combat. Right? Guns are already legal. I mean, maybe they're not. They've always been legal. I think it's just more about assault rifle
Well,
weaponry.
You look at that. They stopped that for, like that was, you know, whether you agree with it or not. In my opinion, it was just dumb
Okay, so
because because actually, why did they have to ban it completely?
do you like they were in? So when they banned, when the government banned um, semi-assault rifles and assault rifles, a semi right, well, whatever the fuck, semi-assault rifles, they had a carve out for colors, culling. When you're culling deer or whatever. I'm not a farmer, obviously. Um, so I asked you, in what situation would you need an assault rifle? In what context? Other than use of intimidation, or it's cool. Like, I mean, there could be a situation where you could go to a gun range or something and fire guns. But why would you need to own an assault rifle?
Well, well, it's like it's like you could say to somebody, like a gun range, right? They could have guns there that you could use, but you could also have your own ones that you may want to use.
Yeah, but
You know,
I'm talking
enthusiasts.
about in terms of
But what I'm saying is like that's the same as saying, like, of course, this what's the word? It's just slipped my mind. This example is obviously way more tame than owning a gun, but it's like saying, well, if what's the point in owning your own pool if you can go and swim in an aquatic centre?
Hmm. Hmm. So interesting. Interesting. I
I
don't think
know it
that's
doesn't compute, but
a bit on the nose there.
the thing is what was the point? Why did they do it? Then they can say it's because of what happened in Christchurch or whatever. But the only reason that happened is because the police didn't do the job. The police had done their job. That
Well,
person
well,
that actually did that caused all of this, wouldn't have been able to have that gun in the first place.
wasn't it because of a law or a write off that wasn't approved because Nicole McKee, the now Labor Act, not Act, Labor, sorry, Act MP, who previously was a gun lobbyist, lobbied against implementing that. It was a specific. It was specific. It was a specific law change. I can't remember off the top of my head. That could have rather prevented something like this from happening.
No, the only reason it happened is because the police didn't do the job. And then so they take the guns off people because the police can't do the job properly.
But okay, let's go into the more macro view of this. So in the scenario, what would your I'm going to take a wild guess in that you believe that everyone should be able to own a gun, whatever gun,
Well, I'm not saying everybody because everybody can't
have the
unless they have
right
a license.
a
Yes,
license.
yeah, absolutely. You have to.
Okay.
I think you should have a license because that's you have to be a fit and proper person, obviously, to have the license. But the issue is, and the issue was, is making sure that the people that can get the license are fit to have the license. It's like you're not gonna. It's like you're not gonna give somebody who's blind a driver's license and go, oh yeah, here you go, buddy. Here's your driver's license. Now you can drive. Doesn't make any sense.
Could you in that case? Well, I guess we're in agreement in that case. I'm just more of I believe you should own and especially in New Zealand we're hunting heavy. I've never hunted in my life. I don't plan on it, but I'm well aware of it. This country is a heavy hunting culture, and this and will never go away. And I don't think it should. It's in our it's ingrained in our culture. Um, Again, I'm not a greenie. Okay, I'm not a tree hugger. You know, um, sorry. Um, but you should have the right to own a gun. Of course, I'm just saying that when it comes to practicalities of owning an assault rifle and the dangers of having that as an ability to own one, and how that computes, I don't see any positive of owning one, other than it's cool to own one, or I use it as intimidation to say, I don't know, libs, get off my lawn, or vice versa.
Right.
That's how I see it, And I'm
Well,
talking
the thing
specifically to
is,
assault rifles.
it's a thing of there's no problem with it as long as the people that shouldn't have them don't get them, and the people that are allowed to have them, i.e., have the license, can get them, and making sure that the people that get the licenses are able to have the licenses.
Yeah. Could you name? I think we're kind of thereabouts in agreement there. I think it's more of some semantic agreement. Could you name a policy or or a cause rather that the current coalition, whatever party, it doesn't really matter who, or whatever MP in that party is fighting, is calling for, to create it, to strengthen the the licensing the licensing laws in this country, to make it, one, easier for people that can get the can get the gun if they're of sane mind, but still harder for people like uh, Quentin Tarrant, whoever the fuck he is, to get to get an assault rifle himself. Because
Oh, well,
I think
I
we're
don't think there's any party that's trying to strengthen that, but I don't think it needs to be strengthened, because the thing is, the only reason that that happened in Christchurch was because the police didn't do their job in the first place.